Hi, good morning, everyone. I think yesterday we have gone through this particular for each meta argument, and then we have trying to see understand this life cycle as well, and that's what we have completed yesterday, right? And so in the life cycle, we have seen what is this create before destroy, and then prevent destroy, and then ignore changes. So this is what we have seen yesterday. Okay. So then we have another important topic which is called as this provisioners. Just a second. Yeah, provisioners and connections. So what is this provisioners and connections in the sense? If you want to log into, let's say you launched instance. Okay. After that, I want to connect to that instance. I want to execute some shell script, or I want to install some package, or I want to copy some files. So how will you do that? So in those scenarios, you can use this particular provisioners and connections. So this we will be talking after this variables. Once the variables topics are done, right, then I will be talking about this provisioners and connections. So you can see here this document is well written, where it is like you have to understand what is Terraform provisioner, what we can do, and then what is the Terraform provisioner types: file provisioner, remote exec provisioner, local exec provisioner, and then for each and everything I have just explained and gave some example to understand it. Okay, a small snippet. And then we have remote exec provisioner as well, and how to execute that. Then we have another provisioner called null provisioner and null resource and provisioners. So null resource in the sense you don't do anything, but you will add some logic to it. Okay, so you don't perform any action, but you will add some logic to it. That is called as null resources. Okay, and then we have connections block. So connection block in the sense, let's say, as I already told you, you have launched an instance, and to that instance you want to connect. Okay, so how will you connect to that? So here you can see some of the parameters which they have written. Okay, so in this way we can use this particular logic of connection block and then provisioners block and all, so where we can connect to our remote location and then execute some particular actions. So for that we will be discussing this topic, but right now I will not touch base this particular topic. Why? Because you like I need some particular, like, not I need, actually you need some particular understanding on input variables and output values and local values. So once you understand that, that will be easy for us to understand about this particular provisioners and connections. Okay, so that's the reason we are going to the next topic called Terraform variables. So what is this Terraform variables all about? Okay, so what are the variable types we have? Input variables, output values, and local values. So till now we are hard coding the values, right? If you try to take this example, what we have written, let me show you that example, any one of the example. Okay, I'll go to day 6 operations. Okay, and if you look at your any example which you have written something like instant.tf, right? So in the instant.tf, I'm hard coding this value, and here also I hard coded this value. I'm hard coding this so many values right now. But tomorrow, if a person wants to re-execute the same file in a different location, so he has to open this particular file and he has to modify these parameters. That's fine. Okay, he can do it. But if you are having so many Terraform files and you have to customize a lot, you don't know which parameter should be customized and according to your requirement. Okay, some parameters will be same across all the clouds, right? Let's say not all the clouds, I'm saying all the AWS accounts, right? Those parameters doesn't need any modification, but as an engineer you doesn't know right now, let's say, which parameter should be modified for your requirement. So instead of hard coding the values inside the Terraform file, we will be writing a variables.tf file where you will declare all the variables, okay, and that variables will be called into your Terraform file. Okay, now what is the advantage of that? Now for you it is not needed to open the Terraform file or VPC file or something which you are trying to create. You can directly open the variables file and replace the values whatever you want. Okay, so there is one centralized location where you can replace the values in order to get effect and to get modified according to your requirement this particular Terraform configuration files. Okay, so that is the advantage of using this Terraform variables and values. Okay, values, I will tell you what is this output value, local value. First of all, let us discuss about what is this input variable. So just now I explained about what is this input variables is all about. Input variables can be declared as in many locations actually. Okay, you can write a separate file, or you can pass the input variables in a command line, or we can write in the resource configuration file itself. There are so many ways to do it. Okay, so we will be seeing one by one. Why? Because if you look at this example, I have written so many. There are totally 9 places where you can define your input variables. Let's say 8 actually. You can ignore the file function. Apart from that, we have totally 8 locations where you can define your input variables. The method or the multiple ways you can call your input variables. Okay, so we have to understand all those types actually, how to declare it. There's multiple ways of declaring your variables, and which will be having a priority. So priority in the sense, let's say I have written the same variable in multiple locations. So which one will be picked first, high priority of the variable? Okay, so you have to understand the flow, because in interviews they might ask you, or when you're working actually in the real time, you have to know when your variable was written in multiple locations, you have to know which one will get affected first. Okay, so that based on that you will try to customize. Okay, so those things are also so important for us. Then we have output values, is something where if you want to return some values, let's say I created some resource. For that resource I want to print some output, saying that, let's say you are trying to launch some instance. Okay, for that instance you will come to know the public IP only once the instance has been created. You would never know when you are executing Terraform plan. In that plan you doesn't know it, right? Why? Because only once it is created you can know the value. So I want to print that particular public IP address as an output, so that someone can take that public IP address, they can access the application and test it. So for that reference I want to print the output of once a Terraform has been applied, when you're executing Terraform apply. So in those cases this output values will be really useful for us. Okay, so that's where we have to use this output values. So there are multiple ways where like this attributes will come into picture. Here attributes will come into picture actually. Okay, I will tell you how to call those attributes. For each and every module you have written, there will be attributes. So those attributes we will be using in order to print the output values of a resource what you are creating on the target provider. Okay, any provider it is. So local values is something where let's say you have something that should be written in many places. You have to repeat. Let's say in coding, right? In Python or C language somewhere, you will write some piece of code which is called as function or method. In Python, it is called as method actually. So when you write your function, that function, why we are writing it, you can write a normal as a line of code, right? Why you are placing it in a function? Why? Because this function can be called in multiple ways, multiple places where you want to repeat this code, right? So in those cases this particular logic will help a lot. Okay, so that is a benefit of using this local values. So local values are something where if you want to repeat some particular concept in multiple places, then we will be using this local values. Simple variables. If you want to write your variables in multiple locations, then the right choice is nothing but local values. So we will see how to write a normal local values, and we will see how to create a complex local values as well. Okay, so that will be really helpful for you when you are doing some task and all. When you are cracking some interview, right? They will give you some task and they will ask you to complete within 2 days or 2 days, 3 days or somewhere. They'll give you some time frame. So you have to complete within the time. So when you are know the complete concept of this, you will know how to complete that particular task. Okay, so that's the reason we will see the low level of writing this, calling this local values and variables, and we will see how to write in a complex way as well. Okay, yeah. So local values are nothing but it works more of dry run. Dry run in the sense what? Do not repeat yourself. Don't repeat the same topic multiple times in different locations. Write as in a single location and call that particular value. Simple. That is called as dry run. So always we have to keep a note of this particular concept. Okay. So now this is all about your Terraform variables called input variables. local values and output values. Okay, so for all of them I have written the URLs over here where you can directly browse and you can access this particular links. Okay, so if you try to open this input variables, right, this is the official documentation. Okay, we will see how to write this input variables. Okay, first concept is nothing but input variables, then we will see output values, and then we will try to understand local values. Okay, so let's go ahead. So we'll take some examples. So I will be going with input variables. So input variables basics. How will you write your variables first? Where you will write in a default location, how you will write it, we will discuss that first. And then we will see in multiple locations. Okay. Now, coming to this particular point, input variable basics. What is this all about? To define default variables. See, one more point you have to remember is nothing but, let's say if I forgot to give a value to my variable, okay, it should take a default value. Okay, so if you want that particular concept also, it is available in variables. You can see one example of snippet here. What is this all about? Variable is one of the block. Okay, when we talked about blocks, right, different types of blocks in Terraform, I spoke about this particular variable block as well. So in this, these values will be picked in resource block using var dot and the variable name. So what is your variable name in this particular block? This is the one. Okay, if someone wants to pick the value from this particular section, they have to call something like var dot and the variable name aws underscore region. Okay, so what we are writing here in the variables block, you are writing your name of your variable and you are writing the description, what you are trying to do in this variable and what type of value you are trying to pass. Is it a string? Is it an integer? Or is it a number? Is it a boolean? What is that? Is it a list of strings? So you have to specify. Okay, so that is called as type. Okay, now it is a string, so that's the reason I've just specified as string. If it is a number, I could have mentioned as number, like 1 2 3 4 0, something like that. Okay, so list of strings, in the sense you will write a bracket here. For example, it looks like this. Okay, and then let's say like this. Okay, so this is called as list of strings. Okay, oh, let me undo. Yeah, now this is how it is. So this is how we write your default value, which means that if you forgot to write this particular value, okay, when you're printing or if you are written somewhere, if you even forget about that, this default value will be picked automatically. Okay, so when you will forget, when you're executing Terraform plan or apply, you might have not written the variables file. Okay, for example, some variable files will be there. I will tell you how to write it, but if you forgot to write that, automatically this particular default value will be picked. Okay, so that's the reason it is better to write a default value. If you don't write a default value, what will happen? That might be a question. So if you don't write a default value in the variable, when you're executing Terraform plan or Terraform apply, it will prompt for you. It will prompt for a variable, it will ask you a value. Okay, so you have to keep on pass information to it, right? So instead of taking that headache, directly pass a default value. If a person forgot to give a normal value what he want to do, it will take a default value, so nothing will fail for your Terraform commands what you are getting executed. Okay, so this is the best way to do it. Okay, now how will you call this particular value US East 1? If you want to declare this, var dot the variable name, that's it, automatically you will get this value. Okay, Terraform knows how to read this particular files. Automatically it will read the file, so it will search for variables.tf file, it will pick the variables from there and it will replace the value on where you are trying to call it. Okay, so this is called as Terraform file, Terraform variables. Okay, input variables especially. So what are the things we can write here? Default, what we have discussed. Type is nothing but what kind of argument type it is. Okay, is it a string, list of strings, numbers, booleans, what we have discussed. And then we have map as well. Okay, map of strings as well. Okay, then we can write something like map of strings. Okay, this is also possible. I will talk about that. What is that exactly? Okay. And then description. So you write a just short description why you are writing this variable. Okay, that's enough. One line answer is enough for this. Okay, description, but it is not mandate. And then validation. So validation is a separate another nested block. Validation is something where you will add some logic to it. Logic in the sense, this particular variable should be applied only when this condition is satisfied. That is called as validation. You will write if conditions, right? Okay, in the for loop you might write inside a if condition. If condition in the sense what? If a is true, then only executes on this particular block. Okay, if you want that particular thing to be done, is let's say image id. What is this? Let us see. Type is string, description you have written. Now why I have written a validation? My image id should be greater than 4 characters, and it should be started with ami. Then how I will do it? Let's say someone is passing some AMI name as something like Sudhir hyphen something, but it is not an actual name. Okay, so they have to pass only the AMI ID, only which is having a name called AMI at the starting. If it is something else, it will reject. That is the logic which I have written here. What is the error message it will print? This image ID value must be a valid AMI ID starting with this, so that the person can understand what mistake he has done. Okay, so that is called as validation. So validation is something where you are adding some additional logic to your existing variable, saying that if this condition is satisfied, then only pick the value. Okay, if not, reject it with the error message. Okay, so that is the intention of using this validation block. It is a nested block of your variable block. Okay, it is a block inside the block. So that's the reason we call it as nested block. Okay, and then sensitive in the sense, sometimes it is not recommended to actually we use this sensitive option in output, actually output values. So why is this called? Because when you want some particular data not to be printed, okay, so then it is called as sensitive, right? So when you have some data that should not get printed, then we have to give some parameter called sensitive. Okay, so that is what we have to remember. Okay, so just a second. So now this is all about your input variables and all. Okay, these are the things which you can write. Okay, apart from that, nothing. Okay, so we have seen validation, sensitive, description, type, and default. Okay, wherever you see the existing modules, or if you have written some modules, or if you are writing some Terraform configuration file, everybody will follow the same thing. Okay, so that's how it is. So now let's try to see some example how we have written a variables. See the example. Instance. Okay, I'm not hard coding the AMI value. I'm not hard coding the instance type. I'm not hard coding the count value. I'm not hard coding the availability zone as well. Okay, and you can see the rest of the things are same. That's fine. Okay, now how you are replacing these values? Because I have written variables.tf file. In that file, I have declared my AMI name, instance type, instance count, and then AZ name. Okay, so I have written or not? Let's see. You can see here, this is how you write your variables. Okay, the best thing is, like you can see here in the visual code, it is telling you one reference, means somewhere you have called this particular variable. That's the reason it is telling you that there is one reference. If you click on that, it will show you where you have called it. I called this particular AWS underscore region in my Terraform settings block. Sorry, in my provider's Terraform configuration file. In the provider block, I have called this particular region. Instead of hard coding the value, tomorrow if I want to launch this particular resource on a different region, no need to open this particular provider.tf file. You can directly open the variables.tf file and just replace the value wherever you want to launch this particular resource on the region. Okay, so simple it is. So this is the best way, like your Visual Studio will show you like where it is referenced, means where it is used. Okay, reference in the sense where this particular variable has been used. Okay, here you can see it is called in this particular availability zone. As I told you, this variable az underscore name is called in my instance. Okay, so what is the things we have written? Description, availability zone name, type is string, and this is the default availability zone. Okay, So now you might have two questions. You have already written the availability zone, not availability zone, sorry. And you have to think one more thing. Your region and your availability zone should get matched. Why? Because your region is US East 1A, you cannot write AP South 1A. Okay, you cannot write a different availability zone in a different region. You have to write your availability zone of the same region. So let me write that parameter as well. In the description, they will try to understand. So availability zone name should be, okay, should be in as per should be as per name should
for the region name.
be region, okay, defined in AWS underscore region variable. Okay, so in this way a person can understand now. Okay, so which means that you cannot write a different availability zone in a different region for this particular parameter. So that's the reason we have written. If you want, you can add a logic here as well. Okay, so right now we are not adding any logic right now, but still I'm adding a description saying that availability zone name should be region defined in AWS underscore region variable. Simple. Okay, so when he is trying to modify, he will read the description. Okay, so that's the reason people should not ignore this description what they have written. It will let you know, even though if you are too intelligent in this Terraform also, we have to. Why? Because everybody will write their own customized parameters if may or may not required. Okay, sometimes you feel that it is not required, but other person might think that it is required for their organization. Okay, for their particular project. Okay, always it is better to read the description. And then type is nothing but string, and you have written this. Another reference is AMI name. Okay, still we are hard coding this, but this particular hard code is no longer needed when you learn about data source. Okay, when we learn the next topic called data source, we never hard code this particular value in variables as well. This one, AMI ID, I'll tell you how to do that. Okay, so coming to the point, AMI, and you can see it is a reference to our instance. Okay, and after that you can see instance type is nothing but a instance type flavor. Okay, and then count. So count also we are telling that how many instances you want to launch. Okay, so this is all about your variable declaration. This is the file which I have written like variables.tf. Okay, Terraform. And then this is the where we have written. It is better to write the name as variables so that the person can understand which is your file where you have written your variables. Okay, so go for the best practices and a proper naming conventions so that it is easy to understand what file it is, what Terraform configuration file it is. Okay, now let's try to implement this. Okay, so I will go to my console. Yeah, so I will be creating another parameter, let's say variables. Okay, I've written this variables. I'm not adding this dates operations at all. Then inside this I'll be writing input. Okay, so that I can understand this is related to inputs. Now first thing what I need to create, I need to create a provider block, right? So provider.tf. So I'll be copy pasting from here so that it is easy for me according to my requirement. So where is your provider? This one, right? So copy paste this. So save this and come on. After this, we need to write variables dot tf, and then let me take variables. So copy this entire thing and paste it here, and then write instances dot tf, or you can write instance. Okay, provider is done, instance is done. Then I will try to open this instance dot tf. Okay, let's save this file and come out. And then the next one is I'll be writing this provider is done nginx install.sh. So let me take this one as well. Nginx hyphen install. Next week we will see Azure. Okay, we'll see some examples related to Azure. I don't want to confuse you people on both the clouds at a time, so that's the reason. So this is done. Now what I need to do, instance is done, Nginx script is done, provider is done, security group and security group rules. Okay, what is the security group is meant for? Firewall, right? For your network. For your VPC network, you are trying to say which port number should be allowed and which port number should not be allowed. So we are writing security group .tf. Earlier, let me tell you about that. Earlier, we used to write this rules. There is another file actually. This is related to security group rules. Earlier, we used to write these rules in the same file itself. But right now, they have modified. They added a separate resource group actually to add your rules in a separate file. So here you will call your group name, and that's how it will add this particular rules into that particular security group. Okay, that's how they have divided. So that's the reason, always be up to date, try to install the latest version and see the modifications and see the changes what they have done. We have to be patient enough in understanding that, reading the documents actually. Okay, so official document is more than enough in order to see how to write these security groups or anything if there is some modifications done. Okay, so always I do recommend that. Okay, so copy this and let's create another file called, so here we are trying to allow SSH and HTTP port, means 80 port. Okay, so security hyphen group hyphen rules .tf. So let me paste this. So you can see here ingress. So incoming packets we are allowing on port number 22 and 80 port number. Outgoing packets are allowed on all the ports, means you can send any type of packet on any port number. Okay, so this is what we have written in this rule. So let's save this and come on. Now we have written all the Terraform configuration files which are needed for this particular experiment, right? So now let us try to run the Terraform init first. So there is some syntax issue. It is telling you that required version. I have written some logic actually, though it is not required right now. I am telling you that we have to execute this particular configuration files only on Terraform 1.0.3. Now what is your Terraform version right now? Terraform version. You can see your Terraform version is 1.0.7. Now there is one more release as well. See this. See, we just started 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago this course, and you can see there is another patch version 1.0.8. This is a patch version actually, last digit. Okay, so there is one more release. Again, I have to download and upgrade it. Okay, so instead of doing like this, in the Terraform configuration file, I can write something like greater than or equal to, something like this. Okay, see whether it works or not. Now it is not accepting. So what I can do now, greater than or equal to, it accepts like this, or yeah, so let me modify like this. So I can say like greater than. Okay, so equal to, and this is also not accepting. So now what I need to do, so I can say like something nearby right hand value. So I can add something like tilde. Let's see, it is not accepting. So it is better not to add this parameter. Save this and come on. What happened? Oh, I'm executing Terraform. Oh shit. That's okay. Let me write this. Terraform init. You can see now it works. Why? Because we have written something like greater than or equal to, which means that Terraform version is 1.0.3 or greater than that, it should accept. So it is accepting me. So this will be really helpful for your production. But in production, we should not something like greater than or equal to. Always we have to write equal to. Why? Because in production we cannot do an experiments, right? You will do experiments on your dev environment or your staging environment or testing environment. Okay, but you will not do experiments on production environment. Once this testing has been passed and everything, that version should be as a fixed, saying that this should be the Terraform version. For this Terraform version, this configuration files are working fine. So that's what it is. Maybe in Terraform 1.0.7 they have modified something and your configuration file was written in the old style. That will fail. That will cause an interruption for your deployment, right? So that's the reason we should not write greater than or tilde or something for your production environment. You have to always write equal to, and what version you want to execute on production, you have to give only that particular equal to version. Okay, so do remember this point always. Okay, so init is done. Terraform fmt to modify my Terraform files, and Terraform validator to ensure that all the syntaxes and everything what I have written as per Terraform configuration files. Let's see. Yes, validation is done. So I'm good to go, right? So Terraform plan. Let's give a plan. Before that, how many counts I gave in my variables? Only one count, right? That's all. So you can say I've written number over there. So now Terraform plan. So some people might get bored, keep on executing this Terraform init, again FMT, validate. These are like common things which you have to follow. That's the reason it is called as Terraform workflow. Git also you do the same thing, right? Git workflow you have to follow. Writing the files, modifying it, or git add, git commit, git push. So this is the flow which you have to follow. So now you can see it is trying to create a security groups and rules, and then it is trying to launch an instance as well. Okay, so this is enough for us to go and create. You can see only one instance is getting created. Why? Because you have mentioned only one. Okay, let's create this. So Terraform apply. You can see I'm not, the first and foremost thing what you have to see is nothing but the variables. You can see what are the variables you have written. It is picked automatically. Why? Because you have declared in variables.tf file, and that is called in your resource block in your instance.tf file, and that's where it is recalled here. Okay, you can see the US East 1A. Okay, which one got picked actually? You have written in properties variables.tf file. Okay, what you have written US East 1A. So in this availability zone it is getting created, and this is the region. Okay, so now Terraform apply hyphen auto approve. So now we are creating a centralized file where you want to modify some values. Instead of going to each and every Terraform configuration file and modifying these entries, you are doing it from a centralized location. Okay.
Sudhir, a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, talking about the TF files,
Yeah.
but there is one file that is called as .tf-var. What is that file?
I'll tell you. So I told you, right, there are multiple ways to define, right? What is the tf.var file? You can see here I've written this. Can you see here something? Yeah, can you see here?
Yep.
Auto tf vars as well. So these are automatically loaded. Okay, for you it is not defined, it is not needed to write a file name with a proper naming convention. So if you don't even write it also, if it finds an extension called .tf-vars, automatically that file will be picked. And the advantage of writing this file is you are writing directly a values, key value pairs, and your variable files will be there. But here this is the default value. If you want to override this particular default value, then you can create this what is that? Yeah, this file, and you can overwrite it. You got the point? Let's say,
Okay, and you cannot define these values in the TF file?
Not in TF file. No. You have to write var.tf, tf vars. Okay, it is just a variables you are writing. You are not writing any logic here, right? You are writing key and the value. This key is nothing but your variable name. Okay, so the default value is this. Now you are trying to override with this particular file. How will you override as a user? This is the file we have to
Okay.
do. Okay. In CI/CD operations also, this is the file which you need to upload. That's the option which you have to provide, so that if you don't upload it, by default it will apply these changes. If you upload this particular file, these are the changes which will get applied. Simple. Okay, we'll see that example. Okay, when we come across that, I will clearly explain you how this will be helpful for you. We have so many topics here, totally 8 to 9 topics in this variables concept. We are at the early stage. Yeah, Deepak.
No, Sujit, as you said earlier, we will discuss on it.
Oh, okay, fine. Any more questions?
Nope.
Thank you. So we will see what happened to our output. Yeah, it got created, right? 5 have been created. Okay, so what are those? 2 are related to resource groups rules, and one is related to sorry, 3 related to resource group rules, one is related to resource group. So totally 4, and one is related to your instance. So totally 5 resources have been created. So let us go to our dashboard and let's verify. So this is a continuous process which we will do until our course is done. So try to create your account in Azure as well. So for that you need Outlook or Gmail address to create it. Okay. So I will tell you how to do that as well. First, let's ignore. You can see instance got created, only one instance. Okay, one instance is created. Now if I take this URL, open the address, I have to get the changes of my Nginx. Maybe it will take some time. Let's see the security is applied or not. Yes, it is applied. Maybe it will take few minutes to apply that changes. Why? Because it has to install, it has to do some upgrade of the packages, and then it should install the Nginx, and then it should modify the index.html. So let's wait for a few minutes. Do not forget to clean up. Okay, whenever I'm completing the session, always I try to do a cleanup, then I will wind up the session actually. Okay, though you are not able to see. So you also do the same thing. Why? Because if you leave your instance as it is, since you are using a public IP address, they will charge for this. Okay, so be careful. It's taking such a long time nowadays to install. Oh, did I added this? Forgot. Did I added this shell script? Oh, guys, though I have written Nginx file, I have not written the user data. So you cannot expect this application to be installed. That's okay, fine. We will see in the next example. Okay. So simple thing is I have not specified it. Though I have written the Nginx install.html, I have not written it. Let's see what will happen. Okay. Now if I define it, what will happen? Let's see. Will it recreate instance or will it update our instance? Okay. So that will be covered. User underscore data. Okay, so let it point right here. What we have written, the function file, right? And what is the file name? You can write in double quotes, nginx install.sh. Okay, nginx install.sh. Is that true? Yeah. So let me execute Terraform. First validate. I just want to see the syntaxes. Yeah, done. So Terraform plan. Here itself we will come to know what it will try to do. In place or destroy, means recreate. Let's see. Now you can see here something it is showing me that destroy and recreate. Okay, so it will destroy and it will recreate a new instance. That's how it is when I add this logic. Okay, why? Because it has to install this particular things, right? So you have to know which one will do what actions. If I modify this, what will happen? Just execute the plan and see whether it is update in place or destroy and recreate. So you have to understand that. Now Terraform apply, I just want to apply it actually. So auto Okay, so now it will remove the old instance and it will create a new one with the new changes. Okay, so with this, the basic way of writing the variables, it's done. Okay, the next one is nothing but how to write your variables using variable prompting. Prompted in the sense when you are writing some when you are executing Terraform plan or Terraform apply, it will prompt for you to pass the variable values. Why? Because for some of the variables, I have not written a default value. So when you are not written a default value, what will happen? I've told you, right? So let's see what will happen. Okay. So I think it is getting recreated. Guys, please practice. Okay. So you'll get confused a lot. Even though I'm teaching like this, sometimes I miss some particular concept. Okay. I have to refer the documents. So same thing will happen to you. So before going to the interview or before going to your project specific to this Terraform, practice thoroughly, understand the concept, then you will be like easy for you to actually to write the Terraform configuration files. At the last, I will give you one of the interview related task, so you have to complete it. Okay, it is actually one of the student has given me, but I will give it to you. Okay, so that is one of the like he is trying to crack the interview. They have given some task him to create a Terraform configuration files. Okay.
So they
Yeah, yeah, Sharif.
so do you have a list or any document link that you can provide us, like says that when last time we tried to update the like the instance type, it
Yes,
was doing it on the fly. Actually, it was doing the
yes,
in place, and
yeah,
now this time we try to add the nginx configuration to the instance. Now it's doing
yes,
the terminate and recreating it. So
yes.
is there a list or is there like the document link that you can provide where we can go, like what happens when we make certain changes?
That
Or
is
is it
really
just
tough.
something
See,
you
it
explore it
is really
by
tough. It is really tough. Why I will tell you because
by
some options may change or may not change. The behavior might change. It depends upon your AWS API and your Terraform what they have written. Okay. So if I say now like this, tomorrow if it change again they will say like it is not the correct output actually. Okay. So that's the reason always I try to stick to the basics like what it is trying to do. It is always better to write your Terraform configuration file and see the output. No need to create actually. You no need to have AWS account. Okay. For example, no need to create actually. Okay. You can execute Terraform plan and see what it is trying to do. That is a simpler way of learning it. Okay. So now you can see it got created. So let's go to the dashboard and refresh it once again. And let's take this public IP and access. Old one got terminated, you can see there, and the new one got created. Now after this, what I will do, for the same example, I will open my variables file. I will remove this availability zone, okay, and then I will remove this instance type and the count as well, default values. Now if I try to execute Terraform plan or apply, what will happen? Let us see. Okay, it is taking some time to load this application. Let's wait and wait.
Raghavendra.
Yeah, PC.
Yeah, if I want to take image or snapshot for running instance, will it be possible from Terraform?
You want to take image?
My image, yeah.
Yeah,
Snapshots will be there, right? So we can take
snapshots.
it from Terraform.
Okay, yes, you can do it. See, that is a volume snapshot. If you want to take a Terraform like instance snapshot, right? See, how will you take from the dashboard? Can you guide me? Snapshot of
Yeah,
an
go to
instance.
instance.
Accents we can go.
Yeah, select the
Okay.
instance.
What we can
Yeah,
do?
go to
Instance settings, right?
image and yes,
Yeah, image
image
and
and
template.
templates.
So what you can do
Yeah, create it.
from this particular instance, you are trying to create an image, AMR. right? That is what you are trying to do. So now if you want to do it from Terraform, there is certain option. Okay, so AWS instance, okay, Terraform. We have to see whether the Terraform is providing it or not. Okay, so
Okay.
let's see. It is always relies on that. Okay, though the implementation is done in AWS, it doesn't mean that Terraform has created it. So they have to do some workaround, they have to build the code, and they have to release as a new version. That's how you will see a lot of new versions actually. So let's go snapshot image. I'll take like image. Okay, so you can see there is nothing like image. Okay, let's see something like snapshot. You have something like snapshot. I have only a volume snapshot, or here encryption snapshot ID. You can see snapshot ID to mount, in the sense it is related to volumes, not related to this. Okay, so it is not yet implemented. Okay, so we have to take these particular points into consideration and see whether this is implemented or not, whether we can do through Terraform or not. Though this option is available in AWS, it doesn't mean that Terraform can provide that. They have some time leverages to do it. Okay, so that's the reason you will see some new changes, new releases and all. So still it is not getting loaded. Let's wait. Maybe sometimes it takes 1 minute or 2 minutes to complete actually. Okay, it depends.
Sudhir, while this is happening, another question
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
See, I give you an environment wherein you have 10 EC2 instances, few GKE, or what is that thing called? Kubernetes and
GKC, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and some MySQL or some services running in a particular.
Yeah.
So, is there a possibility that you can actually pull the details of those things into a Terraform code, which was not built using Terraform, and then build a state file? Is it
Yes,
possible?
we can. But you have to write again. Yes, you can create a Terraform state file. It will create a state file. Using that state file, again, you have to write a Terraform configuration files. So instead of that, you can write a Terraform configuration file, right?
How do you get the state file out of
Yeah, when
already
we
running?
when we discuss about the state file, we can talk about this. Let's say you created some resource manually on the AWS console. Okay,
Correct,
now
correct.
Terraform should manage this. That's what your requirement, right?
True, yeah.
Yeah. So now what we have to do, we have to execute some Terraform state pull. Okay. So that's how we will try to pull. But for that we have to do some changes. Okay. Once you do it, Terraform configuration, like Terraform state file will get created with all the changes what it is needed. And from there you have to create a Terraform configuration file. That's how we have to reverse engineering, something like.
Yeah, correct. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So
what was that command one?
Terraform state pull. Let me give that information as well. So when you go to the documentation, right, so you can see a lot of documentations of this state manipulation. You can see here state manipulation documentation. Let's say here disaster recovery, something you can see here, and then remove, replace, provider list. This is something different. Let's see. Let me give that exact command. Okay, somewhere it is like Terraform state pull exactly, but I will give you the options as well. Okay, yeah, but this is possible. What your requirement is, yes, it is possible, but we have to do some reverse engineering. Okay,
Sure.
in interview if someone asks you, yes, we can do. Okay. Oh god, it is taking such a long time. Okay, so let me try to do the another task before it is getting loaded. Yeah. So now I have removed that variable's default values. You can see there. Okay. So I removed this. Now if I remove this, what will happen? Let me execute Terraform plan. You can see it is prompting for that. So it is telling you var.az underscore name is the variable which is asking for your value. This is the description what I have written. Okay, that is getting printed here. This will be really helpful when you are trying to really execute. Availability zone name should be a region defined in AWS region variable. Okay, so I know that US East hyphen 1A. Okay, enter. Now it is asking another variables information, instance count, only one, and then it is asking me where dot instance type. Let me give t3 dot micro. Done. With this particular inputs what I passed, it will replace the values and it will see whether my expectation and what is running on the provider target is same or not. If it is same, it will say like no changes needed. If it is not same, it will tell you that, see, you can see here I have modified the t3 micro. Earlier it was running with t2 micro, now I have given like t3 micro, so that's the reason it is telling you update in place. Okay, so this is how it is. This is called as prompting, variables prompt. Okay, if you don't pass a default value for the variables, it will prompt when you're executing Terraform plan or Terraform apply as well. Okay, so that's one thing we have to remember. So this is still creating some headache. The group is fine, I just allowed. Maybe Nginx is not getting installed. Where is that? I've written update. Okay, guys, it is a mistake from my end. I'm using image called CentOS image and I'm executing Ubuntu commands actually, which is really a like blunder. Okay, so ignore that actually. So that's the reason it is not able to understand. Okay, what are the commands I'm getting executed. You can see the logs of the instance, you'll come to know about it. Okay, so now let us try to apply this. So if you want to apply, just you can apply this. Okay, so if you want to change the image ID, AMI ID, you can change that as well so that it will use Ubuntu. Okay, so what I will do right now, I will take Ubuntu image so that this will make some sense. Where is that? Yeah, this one. Let me take this and update my variables file. Okay, so let me save this and come out. Now Terraform apply. You already know about this. It will do an update in place. So Terraform, okay, not it will recreate. Now let me execute Terraform plan. Earlier it is update in place. Now it will do. So if you want, we can create another availability zone, 1B. Okay, so one instance, and the type is T2 micro. Let's say T2 dot micro. Okay, same instance type. But since we have modified the AMI, so it will try to create a new instance. It will delete the instance in that availability zone and then it will create in this availability zone 1A to 1B. So that's the reason it will show me like recreate, destroy and recreate. Okay, so now let us apply. You can see the values got placed here. Whatever I gave in the command prompt, that got fetched here. Okay, US East 1B, you can see here, force replace. Okay, it is modifying to that, and the count you can see where is that count. Now it is only 1. Okay, so in this way the values will get picked in the CLI. So now apply -auto -approve. Sorry, mistake. Again it is prompting, right? Obviously you know that. So US East -1B and then instance count 1 and then instance type is T2 micro. With this it will apply the changes. Okay, the instance which is already running in my console is launched in US East 1A. Okay, you can see US East 1A. See what will happen after a few minutes. It is trying to destroy now, so obviously this will get shut down. Yes, it is under process. So well and good. So my expectation is to launch on US East 1B as per the input which I passed in the command prompt when it prompted for the input value. So this is called as variable prompt. Okay, so where you are giving when your variable values are not defined with the default value. Then we have another option called AWS variable CLI. CLI in the sense, it will ask you when you are executing from CLI, which means that when you execute the command, right, we can pass the variables and values, okay, using an option called -f var. So this is what we are going to discuss tomorrow. Okay, so we are already running out of time, so I don't want to put this in a now itself. Okay, let's not be in a hurry. So now I think new one is getting created. Let's refresh and see whether it is created in 1B. So you can see here this instance is getting created in 1B. Okay.
What changes did you make for it to prompt you for the inputs rather than
Simple.
taking it as a default?
See, I removed this variables.tf, right? Default value have removed. That's it.
Okay.
You got it? See, for the default value, if it is there, if you don't pass anything, it will take this one. When you don't have a default value, it doesn't know what value should be replaced, right? Then it will prompt you further to please give me the value. That's how it is.
So if the default value is there, can you pass in as an attribute into the string itself?
Yes.
As to
yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. If you want to replace this default values as well, that's where we have written tfvars. Okay.
I see.
Got it now?
Yeah, but the thing I'm trying to understand, if you don't have the tfvars written, but you want to run a particular Terraform plan job, wherein you want to pass in the values of the variables,
then
which
what you can
also
do?
has some defaults.
See, without declaring variables, you cannot. That is the first and foremost thing. Okay, if you don't write a variables section, block itself.
Correct. You have this.
Yes.
See, you have this tf variables.tf.
Okay.
You have variables defined and you have
Okay.
defaults defined as well.
Okay.
But at the same time, when you're executing this particular file, you want to pass in that particular value of that variable.
Then what you need to do, you should not write a default value, first and foremost thing, and you should not even write that tfvars as well. If you don't want, it should prompt means you should not write like, or else if you want to override, let's say
you don't write tfvars, you have the variables.tf, but you want to have a default value. Okay. Just in case you want to run that particular job without an attribute.
Now, do you want to override these two values as well? What you have written in the tfvars and default value. First question is, you have written the value in tfvars. Okay. That will try to override the default one which you have written in the variables block.
Oh, so I got it. Yes.
Now, if you want to override this two, that is what you're asking?
No. I'm saying that I don't want to have a tfvar file. I will just have a variables.tf file.
Okay.
Which has certain variables defined and which has default values defined.
Okay.
Now, when I'm executing my Terraform file, I'm basically expected to pass in the values of certain variables while I'm executing.
Okay. Then you have to use this CLI. Just now I told you, right? Tomorrow we'll discuss this one.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Sure.
This is what you have to do.
Got it.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's refresh this. You can see instance has been created successfully. Now if I refresh this page, at least now I need to see that. It might take some time now, exactly. Security and this. Let's wait for a few minutes. Yeah, so that's all for today actually. So once this particular page has been loaded, right, we can wind up the session. So before, if you have any questions, please, you can ask me.
Sudhir, this course would have been great if you have added Ansible as well.
Something like that. See, in Ansible also we have, right, where you can declare these values in multiple locations, right? In variables, it's like too headache. In Ansible, like you can write anywhere, wherever you want. Almost, as far I know about Ansible, you can declare in almost 12 to 15 locations. 12 to 15. It's your flexibility, how you define.
Since you know Ansible as well, if you have added Ansible configuration management,
please, I cannot teach that. It's like, it's not simple thing saying that this is Ansible, this is what. No, I have to teach everything. If I need to create a proper deployment configuration management, I have to teach Ansible. You need to know what is inventory, okay, what is roles, what is collection, which they have added recently. Okay, you have to know a lot actually. Okay, so I cannot teach on what do you say 1 or 2 days. That is really impossible. See, for teaching Terraform only, see how many topics I have. Okay, I have to complete within 1 month, and that too properly covered all the topics in a proper way. Okay, it's not in hurry burry as well.
Maybe in future.
Yeah, I will try to upload the videos. Obviously, I have my YouTube channel, right? So you can expect videos over there. So
Okay.
maybe in down the line this weekend or maybe the next weekend, I'm trying to upload Azure with Kubernetes, okay? And you including Terraform as well. So how will you spin up the same thing manually using Azure dashboard from Azure CLI and from Terraform configuration file? Okay, from all the three ways, I will try to create in a single video. Okay, Azure Kubernetes.
Okay. Thank you.
Maybe 2 hours video or 3 hours video. I'm not sure about it. I'm expecting like at least it will take 2 to 3 hours. My God.
Actually, this is Raghavendra.
Sorry?
This is regarding. This is Raghavendra.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
this is regarding AWS CLI installation.
Okay.
I've already installed AWS CLI on my Linux machine. If I go to the AWS configure file, right, I don't see the access ID and the access
Obviously,
key
you will
ID,
not see.
AWS secret.
Obviously, you will not see. Why? Because you have not executed AWS underscore configure command.
Okay, so
True. So when you execute AWS underscore configure command, it will ask you access key, secret key, region, and then output format. Okay, these are the four options which will ask you. Once you give that particular
okay,
inputs, right, then your configuration file will get created under .aws directory on your home directory. It will create your credentials file and config file. That's where the information will get stored, and that's where Terraform will try to read the information for authentication purpose.
so I have to create access key from AWS portal, right? Like user
I have
creation.
shown it actually, but okay. Uh, Go to IAM, Identity Access Management. Go there.
Okay,
This is still not working. Why? Let's see. So I will investigate this. See, this is simple. Just log into the server and see whether Nginx got installed or not. Okay. So we'll see that later. There is no issue with firewall as well because I allowed 80 port number and SSH port number. Okay. That's next secondary. So go to the users. Okay. So do you create? Have you created any other user? No, I guess. So with the user whom you have created, go to that particular user. Okay. Go to the tab
okay,
called security credentials. Okay. Scroll down.
okay.
Here you can create access key. Since I already created 2 access keys, I cannot create a third one. The limit of creating access key and secret key is only 2 in AWS for every user. Okay.
Okay, that already created actually. So I
Yeah,
need
I created
to
this.
update it here.
Yeah,
Okay,
you created download this. Okay, if you forgot that, just cancel and
okay,
remove this and generate a new one and save it somewhere. And when you execute AWS underscore configure, see AWS space configure, it will ask you access key, this one, and it will ask you secret key, which will not get displayed. Okay, so take that and give that particular details. Done. Your AWS CLI is configured successfully. Okay,
okay, okay. Thank you.
you see to go there. Let me log in first, see why it is not running. Let me try to do some investigation, right? It is better to do that. What set key I gave, I forgot. My key which I gave is one virginia.demo. Okay, so now take this public IP. Okay, go to my console, SSH. Let's try to investigate. This is Ubuntu. So Ubuntu is the user, and the private key is nothing but enable browse that particular key. So Virginia demo. Yeah. Now, okay. So it has to connect if my firewall is okay. I expect my firewall is okay. It's logged in, which means that 80 port also should work. I don't know why. dpkg -l pipe grep nginx. It got installed. Why it's this is crazy.
to see if the service is up. Nginx
Yeah,
service.
that's what I'm about to see. Systemctl status Nginx. It's running. Is it my firewall issue? No. See, I allowed 80 port number as well. Let me try to check my security group. It is allowed as well. So nothing should block. This is too crazy. Let me try to allow all the ports for time being, okay? Or let me try to add this. It's telling you it's already allowed, okay? So retry. No. Back. Ultra. Systemctl
Or is it the firewall that's blocking the traffic?
I'm guessing so. Let's see. At -2s. From here, let me try to do a trace route. I have. Localhost to the gateway, no reply. Okay. Let me check internally if it is works. Call localhost. It's working. You can see Nginx was deployed successfully using Terraform. IP address is this internal. It's working. Why firewall is blocking me? Go to security groups. There is only one firewall which got attached. Let me try to see this one. It's allowed. Inbound rules. This is fine. Okay, and 55. What is this? Okay. Let me try to check default. Default firewall. Let me see if that is making any problem for me. Let's see.
How about the firewall within the node itself?
Yeah, but Nginx by default, sorry, Ubuntu by default it doesn't block. It will not enable the firewall. But let me see that as well.
I think it's UWF in Ubuntu.
Yeah. Or anyway, if I give the tab, it should work. There is no firewall at all. Okay, so no problem. Let me do one thing. I will try to execute one command. UFW allow let's say 80 token. Okay, so let me try to refresh this. Please. Let me open in D2. Let me take this IP and go to this D2. It's working. Cache problem. Okay, that's okay, fine. So now you can see it's working. So it's not related to this, it's problem with my browser where this cache created some problem. Okay, so just the reason I just opened it too, and now it works as it is. Okay, so let me try to destroy this whole resource what I've managed right now. So by executing the command called terraform destroy. So terraform destroy -auto -up. So tomorrow we will see rest of the topics related to variables, input variables. Okay, so it is asking again. Okay, US East 1B. Okay, instance type T2. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you. Thanks a lot.